What's going on, everybody? Leo Cannell here with your favorite Seven Figures Club podcast. Today, my friends, we're going to find out how adding this one thing to your life is going to increase your productivity as an aspiring entrepreneur, a startup, a father, a husband, whatever it is that you're doing in life that matters. Adding this one thing is going to increase your productivity by 10 times, okay? And when I implemented it, how I got into the best shape of my life, and finally, how teaching my team to implement this helped us grow from $0 to $5 million in just 18 months. Let's go. There are over 32 million businesses in the U.S., and over 90% of them will never break seven figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that seven figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-seven figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go. All right, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing day, an amazing week. You're taking massive action. You're working towards your goals and so forth. So as I was thinking about what I could share with you today, one thing comes to mind. And as we were sitting at our kitchen table in my house, and I've got 5 kids, my wife and I have 5 kids, and so we were all sitting there, and we've got a big age difference, right? The youngest is 3, the oldest is 17 out of our kids, and we were talking about how they could be more productive and work towards their dreams. My 17-year-old, he loves music, self-taught guitar, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, piano, keyboard, incredibly talented. And yet he's not sure what he wants to do with his life. So as we're sitting there talking, I'm like, Lucas, what are you going to do? You're going to be graduating this year. You're a senior in high school. You know, are you going to go to college? Are you going to start a business? Are you going to go on a service mission? What are you going to do? And he really has no idea what he's going to do, and that's okay. He thinks I'm upset with him because he doesn't know what he wants to do, and that's not what I was upset with. What I was upset with is that he doesn't, put the time into figuring out what he wants to do. And so what happened was we started to break down, well, what is your schedule like? And he really had never considered exactly where he, kind of how he managed his schedule. And so I started saying, Lucas, are you using a Google Calendar? He works at our Seven Figures Funding company. He's done some good work for us. He has a Seven Figures Funding calendar. He's got his own personal Gmail calendar. I'm like, Lucas, this is a free tool that is going to increase your productivity by tenfold. When you start to use a calendar and you stop wasting time and you do what Grant Cardone says in terms of that white space in your calendar is where the devil lives, and it's so true. As soon as you start to use that calendar and you have everything, mapped out for your day, for your week, you're going to increase your productivity 1,000,000 times, because instead of wasted time, every minute is going to be spent doing something productive, and you're going to start to identify, wow, I spend a lot of time playing video games. I spend a lot of time watching TV, Netflix, Hulu, whatever it is, consuming instead of creating the dream life that I want, the dream business that I want. And so if you're sitting at home right now and you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you're driving on the road, you're listening to this, the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to get control of your time. Until you have control of your time, time is going to kick your ass, and you're going to have a very low probability of achieving real, true, and lasting success in your life. So that is one of the biggest things that I teach my team members, I teach our partners, is the importance of having that calendar and managing every second in the day as efficiently as possible. And technology's made it easier than ever. That Google Calendar goes right to your phone. It goes right to your computer. It's on the cloud. You don't have to write things down. The cloud always remembers it. Now, if you're old school and you love walking around with that old calendar, that's fine. Do what works for you. But if you can use the technology, generally speaking, that's going to be more effective because it's with you wherever you go, whereas that big notepad that you're writing on may not be quite so convenient to carry around. But that phone you got in your pocket, it's got that Google Calendar on there for you. I remember when I first realized this need to get more effective in my life, it was when I was, when you're trying to get it in shape, and it was about 13 years ago, and I was maybe, I don't know, 25, 35 pounds overweight. I was not eating right. I certainly wasn't working out consistently. I bought a Bowflex and used that 3 times a week as they recommended, and I was not seeing results. And so I started to realize, well, if I really want to, get into the best shape of my life, and if you're someone who, when you were young, you played sports, you were active, you were in great physical shape, maybe during those high school years, and I loved, my thing was football, and I worked really hard at it to be able to start at quarterback my senior year in my little high school of Beaver, Utah. And so fitness was super important, health. And then at age 27, I was not in great shape, very overweight. I was getting that double chin where, you have the jowl in your neck that's hanging out, not very attractive, not very cool. And so there it was, and I'm like, dang, how am I going to get my butt in shape? What is going on here? And so I started to do the research, and I realized I obviously needed to clean up my diet. But most importantly, I needed to be consistent and work out and be on a fitness program every day. And so I was looking into P90X and Insanity and all these different home-based programs that were phenomenal that I still practice today. And so the first thing that I realized is if I don't have this in my calendar scheduled out, it's not going to happen. At the time, I was actually getting up at like 5:30 in the morning, if you can believe it. And I was trading the currency markets. That was my full-time business at the time. And so that's what I was doing. And so I basically would have 2 slots in my calendar for the day. I'd either work out around noon or maybe around 5 o'clock at the end of the day. And it was in my calendar, and I knew every day at one of those 2 times, depending on my schedule, that was when I was going to knock out that workout. And it was actually it was like an hour-long workout with P90X. And then, P90X 2 and 3 and all these other workouts came out that you could get it done in a half hour. But back then, I actually slotted out an hour. And about 6 months later, I was legitimately in the best shape of my life. And 13 years later, I don't think a single week has gone by that I didn't work out at least 4 times that week. Even when I'm on vacation, I'll still follow, strength one day, cardio the next. And it all stemmed from using the calendar, because you know what? If I didn't put in the calendar, it's so easy. You get so busy, you get so lost in the day that if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. If I don't have that appointment with that, potential partner, it's not happening. If I don't have it slotted out that I'm going to be at my son Marcus's soccer game tonight at 6, I'm going to miss it, and I'll still be at the office, right? So calendar is one of the most powerful things that you can implement in your daily life to see a massive increase of success. And so going back to my fitness story, 6 months later, I remember, we were getting ready. It was boating season. I love taking my family wakeboarding out on the Utah Lake here, just south of Salt Lake City. Beautiful, beautiful spot. And I remember, we're going to go boating, and we started to, go to the swimming pool for summer. And people that hadn't seen me in a while were like, wow, what did you do? How'd you get into shape? But yeah, it really was the calendar. It was slotting out that time and knowing that's when I'm going to do it. And so whatever's important in your life, as my mom used to say, you'll find time for it. And if you have it on your calendar, it will happen. If you don't, the odds are very much up in the air of that happening. And so the next thing I wanted to talk about is it was a few years later. It was in about 2015, 16, somewhere in there, so about 5 years ago. And I was launching a new company, a new business funding company, and launching it quickly. And one of the issues I started to realize was our funding managers would, have a difficult time reaching clients. So a client had signed an agreement, we'd done the work, they just needed to do some follow-up with some lenders, and they were super motivated to build their business, and yet we were having trouble getting a hold of them throughout the process to make sure that they got their funding in a timely manner and followed up with their lenders and so forth. And so I'm like, damn, what is going on here? Why are we struggling so badly with this? And I started to sit down with each one of our funding managers, and I realized Well, they weren't setting a follow-up appointment on their Google Calendar using a calendar software to remind them and the client with an email and a text, hey, we've got an appointment at 10:30 in the morning today. I'm going to be calling you. We're going to be going over this. And so as we started to invest in that calendar software, which these are really cheap, you've got Calendly, you've got ScheduleOnce.com, and we started to implement that, well, guess what? Productivity increased significantly. No more missed phone calls. No more the client disappears and we have no idea what's going on. The client was on the calendar. Our funding manager knew exactly when they were talking to them, and there was always another follow-up appointment. There was always organization. The devil is in the details, and when you don't have the details under control, that's when you fail at a massive level. And so as we started off, it was an interesting story. We actually started off in this little little office space, about 1,000 square feet in a grocery store, and then moved to a 4,000, and then moved to a 7,000, and then 15. Really grew fast from $0 to $5 million in 18 months, from no employees to, I don't know, I think we had 60 or 70 at the height of that particular business. And all of that happened by getting the whole team on Google Calendars and scheduling software, and every client knew when the next phone call was. There was always, and again, and the employees that didn't follow this were ultimately the ones that would quit or get fired because they didn't use the calendar. They were lazy, they didn't follow the directions, and success eluded them. And that, my friends, is what happens in business, in entrepreneurship. So the first thing that you must have control of if you want to experience amazing success in business life, entrepreneurship, is getting a hold of that time and that calendar and using it not only during the work hours, but even outside of work, right? Because your family and the things, your fitness, your health, all of those things have to be scheduled in the calendar. And so many times we hear the excuse, oh, I don't have time, Leo. I just don't have the time. I'm just so damn busy. And it's like, no, you're not. You're not that damn busy. If you look at the last week, how many hours did you spend playing Xbox? How many hours did you spend consuming shit on social media? How many hours did you waste binging the latest awesome TV show on Hulu, on Netflix, on Amazon? Oh, wow. So it looks like it's about 3 to 4 hours a day on average for most human beings on this planet, in the United States at least. So you're telling me, wow, we've got about 25 to 30 hours of time that's wasted time, that's not time with your family, by the way, that you can replace with more effective work time, with more effective family time, and all of those things can be implemented to create a much more successful you and achieve that dream life and business that you want and quite frankly deserve if and only if you're willing to put forth the work effort and control that time that has eluded so many. And I'm telling you, 90% of the population does not control their time controls them, and that is why success eludes them. So that, my friends, is my invitation today. Use that Google Calendar, get very effective, very efficient. If you are working with clients one-on-one or partners, or even if you're not and you have phone appointments throughout the day, use a ScheduleOnce.com, use a Calendly.com calendar software, and you will see your productivity rise. Go out, make it happen, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time on the Seven Figures Club podcast. Are you looking for more seven-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out sevenfigures.com. That's the digit 7, FIGURES.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.